We go into the skiff, which is, James Bond kind of stuff. A lot of brass, a lot of suits, probably CIA or NSA or somebody, I don't know. None of our enemies or our adversaries or friends had, and nobody in this world had this type of aircraft. Is that correct?
Let's talk about some of the roadblocks that you guys faced going into this.
Right.
I know you got turned around at several different military installations.
Yeah, I went down to, Eglin, I guess, down in Florida, I think. Myself and Luna and Matt Gates. They're both from Florida, so I went down there and ate about 3 dozen raw oysters at some place Matt, his bride, took me to, and then the next morning we went to that meeting, and we're told we're gonna be briefed and see pictures and trying to visualize it all in my head because it was so predictable, and meet the pilots. So we go into the skiff, which is, James Bond kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't have a Fitbit, but if you had a Fitbit, you had to take it off. You got a watch or anything electronic or a phone, you had to put it in the little, similar to the things they found the cocaine in at the White House, those kind of compartmentalized things. And so we go in. It's a big room, a lot of brass, a lot of suits, probably CIA or NSA or somebody, I don't know. And, they gave us a great briefing on some really scary stuff that's going on in and around where they are. And
Can you elaborate on any of that?
not really, because of that's what I'm saying. This is a trap. We got to get in the skiff to get this information. Well, in some instances, unless it's been put out, which most of this stuff at Eglin was put out by other people in the room. But if they tell you that stuff, it's secret, and you're not allowed to talk about it, unless the press has been out there. But anyway, and that's a trap. That's what they want to do with David Grush. They want let's get him in the skiff. Let's get this information. Well, it's kind of questionable if they do that. If we can even talk about it, People say, well, it'll help us devise our questions. And I just think it's a trap. So I just take him at his word and we go on. But anyway, so Matt basically just says, hey, y'all have, it's not what we said we were coming down here for. And he said, I appreciate all this, but this isn't what we were told we were going to talk to pilots. We were going to see pictures. We were going to get to interview the pilots on what they saw. And they said, you can't do it. You don't have the credentials or whatever. You don't have clearance to do
You don't
that.
have the clearance level.
Yeah. And, which is not true. So technically we're supposed to have the clearance. And Matt said, I tell you what we're going to do. It was like, he said, we're going to come in here. We're going to have a hearing in D.C. and we're going to ask you some questions. And I'm paraphrasing what Matt said, but he said, y'all are going to perjure yourself on something you've said, and we're going to hold you accountable. And said, now, which is it? And they said, well, we're not. And I said, all right. He said, I'm calling Washington. I'm going to only talk to somebody in Washington. So whoever at the Pentagon, Matt, and the general brought us a nice fruit tray, I remember, up there. And the room was bugged, by the way. That was a funny thing. The room was, they had these mics connected and all this other stuff. And it was just, it's typical BS. And so I was enjoying a delicious fruit tray at government expense. Matt was talking to the Pentagon. And about an hour later, the general came in, and there's one of his people, I can't remember which, said, all right, we're bringing them in. And so we go back down, and And they talked. They talked about, and Matt described it in the hearing about some things. And I always took this from us, that what Matt said in the hearing, he said these were craft that were none of our enemies or our adversaries or friends had, and nobody in this world had this type of aircraft. Is that correct? And they all said, nope, nobody's got those.
Unanimously, without hesitation?
Without hesitation. Just went down the line. And I'm not sure if he asked that anyway, but that led up to all that, which I thought was I don't know if magnificent's the right word, but it was, you don't ask a question unless you know the answer. And it was historic, I guess, because it's funny, the wheels in Washington, leadership, both parties, they just, I let Burchett go ahead and do this thing, and nobody will show up. They had like 1,000. They said they had more people there than they've ever had at anything. I walked down the hall, and they were lined up around. People saw me and started clapping and getting selfies and stuff. I got up at I left the office at 4:30 that morning to go be on Fox to talk about the hearing coming up. People were already lined up, dude, outside the building at 4:30 in the morning. I met people from overseas that had flown in on their own dime. I remember that's what some kid came from Alaska. He said, I'm flown here on my own dime. I said, well, get in line, brother. And the hearing was, I don't know, 3 hours maybe, 2.5 hours. People never left. And they had, what you didn't see was they had a whole nother viewing room packed with people were watching it.
Yeah.
And so, people of all, white folks, black folks, different faiths, had a priest in there of all things who came to watch it. And a reporter told me they'd been there 15 years and said, Tim, and he named all these hearings that went on. He said, they've never had this much interest.
Man.
And that's what caught leadership off guard, I think.
Did that surprise you?
No, it did not. I thought they'd try to turn a lot of them away.
You knew how much interest this subject carries.
And we tried to have it's funny, we had a press conference. My press secretary, Rachel, said, boss, we're going to do this press event. And I said, okay, whatever. And I didn't really think much of it. I just said, we're going to sit there and answer a few questions. And I was getting ready to walk into our conference meeting. It was caucus when I was in the state legislature. It's conference now. And I'm sorry I look off a lot. I'm trying to visualize because I can visualize it in my head what we were doing. I remember I was walking down the hall and a reporter set their microphone, handed to the camera, and said, hey, Tim, can I talk to you for a minute? And this was a reporter from a major network. I said, yeah, brother, what's up? I thought maybe he's in trouble. I don't know. And he said, hey, you got this press conference called tomorrow, right? And I said, yeah. And he said, they put you in a room that's under construction. I said, this is a big event. You can't get in there. There won't be enough room for y'all to even hardly be in there. And I was like, really? And so we did some checking. In fact, every step of the way, they tried to block us.
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn Ryan. Click here to subscribe to the Shawn Ryan Show YouTube channel for the hottest and most compelling interviews that you will not see anywhere else. I've also made a playlist of all the previous SRS episodes so they're easy to find. You can find that right here.